He's our noble friend. 2-3 times I went to Bhante's Buddhist school. Kindly, now I'm going to invite Bhante. He will deliver short Dhamma message. Please Bhante, come here and sit here. They will deliver Dhamma talk less than 30 minutes. The reason is we have to continue, we have to conduct our Buddhist devotional song, our dancer and other program, Buddhist birthday program. Okay, Bhante, please. අපි තාම ගෞරවයෙන් ආරාධනා කරන උන්වහන්සේට පුංචි වෙලාවක් ධර්ම දේශනාවකට සිදු කරන්න කියලා. අපි ඒ කටයුත්තෙන් පස්සේ එළියට ගිහිල්ලා තොරණ කටයුතු, භක්තිගීත කටයුතු සිදු කරලා, දානසලේ කටයුතු සිදු කරලා අපි මේ පින්කම අවසන් කරනවා. දැන් හාමුදුරුවෝ ඔයත්න්ට සුළු වේලාවක් ඉංග්‍රීසි භාෂාවෙන් ධර්ම දේශනා කරනවා.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Kalena Dhamma Savanam Etam Mangalamuttamam. Listening to the Dhamma in the right time, that is the highest blessing. The most honorable Bhikkhu Sangha, especially the most honorable Bhante Devananda, they are both of Lankarama Vihara in this California. Dhamma brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, homage to the Buddha, Namo Buddhaya. First of all, I would like to thank especially to Bhante Devananda and also Sister Ellie, who actually invited me to come here to be a part of this very great ceremony for celebrating the Vesak Day, commemorating the 3 events related to the Buddha. And this is a really honor to me because also before I come here, I have never thought that I will be here. But actually, even though in person I have not met Bhante Devananda, but actually we have been friendship, especially in the social media, in Instagram. So sometimes I can see the activities of this Lankarama, and also I think in Indiana, the temple there also Bhante always given the activities in the social media, so I can see. So we have been friendship actually. But it also reminds me about the friendship of Indonesia and also Sri Lanka. Perhaps you know that at present days, we have been very close friendship, especially that our Sangha, Sangha Theravada Indonesia, and also the Sangha in Sri Lanka, especially the Kote. And I heard also that Bhante also from the Kote chapter. And actually our teacher, the most venerable Bhante Panyawaro, was having very close friendship with the late Bhante Devananda Pimalaratana. And he actually sent some of his disciples to go to Sri Lanka to study, including myself. So I was studying Sri Lanka for almost 10 years, and I stay in Devananda Rajamaviraya. So sometime I also went to Kote, but I never know the monks there, but somehow I went there with my teacher as well. And you know that the friendship of Indonesia and Sri Lanka was actually not only just in the present days, but even for many centuries ago, we had been very good friends among the Sangha, Indonesian Sangha and Sri Lankan Sangha. There is one literature that we find in China and telling about the story of the monk. And that monk was actually coming from India. The name of that monk is Bhante or Venerable Gunawarman. He was actually from Kashmir, and he was a prince, but then he became monk, became Buddhist monk, being ordained in India, but then he went to Sri Lanka. And according to that literature, that Bhante Gunawarman in Sri Lanka attained the second stage of sainthood in Buddhism. That means he attained the Sakadagami. And being a prince and also a monk and also attained the second stage of Buddhist sainthood, he was very respected in Sri Lanka. And people came to him and giving veneration, honor and so on. But then for him, it was a burden. And according to that literature that found in China, Bhante Gunawarman then went to Java Island. That it is Indonesian, one of the Indonesian islands. So Bhante Devananda also for several times came to Indonesia, especially in Java. And he went to Java and converted the king of Java as well as his mother and his subject to be Buddhist. So that happens about the 5th century after Christ. So that means at that time there has been the very good relationship between Indonesia and Sri Lanka, at least from the 5th century after Christ. That is the record that we can find from the literature in China. But then again, about the 8th century after Christ, now in Indonesia we have one Buddhist site, very ancient one, that was supposed to be built in 8th century after Christ. The name of that Buddhist site is Ratu Boko. I don't know whether Bhante Devananda at the time visited the Ratu Boko or not, but somehow that Ratu Boko, it was found one inscription telling that Ratu Boko was the temple, the Buddhist temple given to the Singhalis monk from Abhayagiri. So you know that in Sri Lanka there is one school of Buddhism. The name of the school is Abhayagiri. And according to that, Abhayagiri was supposed to be started around the 1st century before Christ, in the times of Watagamini, the king Watagamini or Walagamba. And then about the 5th century, that Abhayagiri also practicing, not only just practicing, but learning, practicing one of the Sutra in Mahayana. That is a Vaipulya Sutra. And that teaching, I think, because in Indonesia, the school which is very popular in Indonesia is Mahayana. So the Sri Lankan monk from Abhayagiri came to Indonesia about 8th century after Christ, and there even the king of Java given one temple. It is called Ratu Boko. So that means the close relationship between Indonesia and Sri Lanka was already there, not just in the present days. Of course, in the present days, we in the Santacitta Indonesia especially, we always send some of our disciples, some of our monks to go to Sri Lanka to study there, like me and then other monks. I think I heard there's one monk, the most honorable Citta Buto, also already came here. He was also actually studying from Sri Lanka in the Pali Buddhist University. For myself, I studied in Kelania University for almost 10 years. So this is how the relationship between Indonesia and Sri Lanka was actually existing from the very long time ago, many centuries ago until now. And you know that in Indonesia, about the 15th century after Christ, we can say that Buddhism already disappeared because something reason, but then after 500 years, around 1934, there was a monk from Sri Lanka. I think you know all, the most venerable Bhante Narada. He was coming from Lankarama, from Colombo. And he went to Indonesia, starting there, teaching Buddhism in Indonesia from 1934. Even after that, he also brought one Bodhi tree taken from Anuradhapura and planted around Borobudur. Even though now that tree was not there, already being rooted out, being cut it down. But there's another monk from Sri Lanka. It is around 1978 also came to Indonesia and brought one Bodhi tree, the branch of the Bodhi tree from Sri Lanka, and planted around the Borobudur, and now still there. So this relationship between Indonesia and in Sri Lanka was, very long time until now. And after Buddhism, we can say almost disappeared for 500 years, and with the coming of Bhante Narada, that Buddhism again awakened in Indonesia from 1934 until now. At the time, accordingly, just 5 persons became Buddhists. So when Bhante Narada came to Indonesia together with some people from British, and it was actually the organization of theology, and at that time the 5 persons became Buddhists. But now we have, I think, about 1% of Indonesian population are Buddhists. So that means like almost 2 million people in Indonesia now Buddhists, and that is started from the time of Bhante Narada. So it is by virtue of the Sri Lankan monk. So now we are having quite a lot of Buddhists in Indonesia. So now we have like hundreds of temples in Indonesia. In our Sangha itself, I think around 500 temples we have, scattering throughout the Indonesian islands. So this is how we have to remember about this relationship, that I hope this kind of relationship, which is very good, will be prevail, so that it would give benefits to Buddhism, Indonesia, and also Sri Lanka. To my brothers and sisters, I think according to the flyer that's already given to all of you, that's today we are getting together here to perform the celebrations of Vesak, to commemorate the 3 events related to the Buddha. And you know all that this events is about the first, the birth of the Prince Siddhartha, the birth of the Buddha, the Bodhisattva, the Prince Siddhartha. And that happens in the Lumbini Park that now we can see in around Nepal. And this is the first. And the second is that we now celebrating the events regarding the enlightenments of the Buddha. So after this Prince Siddhartha leaving his kingdom, his family, and became ascetic to find out the way how to get rid of the suffering, ultimately, finally, under the Bodhi tree, he was attaining the fully enlightenment, and now become a Buddha, known as a Buddha. And this is happening. It was happening around now in Bodh Gaya. And the third one is that we are commemorating, we are remembering the events, a very important one, that after the Buddha teaching for 45 years, and then ultimately he have to pass away. Finally, he passed away in Kusinara. At present, it was called as Kusinagar. That happened when the Buddha was in the age of 80 years old. And what is really unique with these 3 events is because that 3 events happened in the months of Vesak. Not only just in the months of Vesak, even these 3 events happens in the full moon day. I think the 2 days ago, on May. And not only just in the full moon day that the birth of the Prince Siddhartha, the full enlightenments of the Buddha, and the passing away of the Buddha happened, but also that happened in the 3rd watch of the night. You know that in Buddhism, the so-called night is divided into 3 periods of time. The first watch of the night, it is around the 6 to 10 p.m. And the second watch of the night around the 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. And the third watch of the night around 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. So these three events happen in the third watch of the night. According to one sutra, and that is not in the Dhamma Sutra, but in Mahayana Sutra, the name of the sutra is Lalita Vistara. It is stated that when the Prince Siddhartha was born, it happened in the third watch of the night, in the morning. In the full moon day, in the Vesak month, in the morning that Prince Siddhartha was born. Of course, in Theravada, it was not stated, and in some discourses, but somehow in Mahayana, it is stated that that happened in the third watch of the night. And not only that, when the Buddha was attaining the full enlightenment and known as the Buddha, that also happened in the third watch of the night. You know the story that is found in one discourse Majjhima Nikaya, Bhaya Peravasutta, that it is mentioned in the first watch of the night, the Buddha was, at the time still Bodhisattva, as not yet as a Buddha, and he attained the Pubbe Niwa Sansatinyana, the knowledge, the very high knowledge, remembering the past lives, uncountable past lives. He could remember, and that is the first watch of the night. And in the second watch of the night, he attained what it is called as Diva Chakunyana, the divine eye. And through that divine eye, this Bodhisattva could understand the reason why the beings, why the creatures born in a good destination and sometimes in a bad destination. That means he understands about the law of karma, the law of action and effect. So that happened in the second watch of the night. And in the third watch of the night, this Bodhisattva, as the ascetic Gautama, known as ascetic Gautama, ultimately attained the very important understanding that now, as a Buddhist, need to understand. And he attained the understanding about the Four Noble Truths. And through understanding that understanding, he attained the fully enlightenment. And then he became a Buddha. So that happened in the third watch of the night. So this is what now we are commemorating, now we are celebrating. And not only in this first and second event, even in the third event, it is stated, especially in one discourse, Mahaparinibbana Sutta, even that when the Buddha was passing away, that also happened in the third watch of the night. So in the morning, around the 2 p.m. until 6 p.m., not mentioned in which time, but somehow it is stated in the third watch of the night. So this is very unique. If not, that person, that very great being, didn't have any merits, very great merits in the past, it was impossible to such a person to have this kind of the happening in a very unique time, in the Vesak month, in the full moon day, and all those happened in the third watch of the night. And now, Dhamma brothers and sisters, what is important in this celebration, in this commemoration of the Vesak day, and the most important is not just about ritual. It is not just about the ceremony, but how we can take the meaning of these three events and we take especially the teaching what already the Buddha gave to us to practice. Not just ceremony, not just ritual, but how to take the meaning of this thing and implement in our daily practices. So when the Buddha was in the times of passing away, in the day of passing away, at the time, the Buddha was under the tree, the Sala tree, the twin Sala tree. And at that time, there is kind of miracle that those twin Sala tree, which actually not in the season of blossoming, not the seasons of flowering, at that time, the flowers are having the flowers, that the tree of the Sala tree having the flowers, and pouring on the body of the Buddha as a respect, as an honor, veneration to the Buddha. And again, the divine, the kind of deities also give the pouring the divine flowers and play the music, the divine music, to give the honor veneration for the farewell of the Buddha to the Buddha. But then at the time the Buddha said, not by this kind of veneration to be considered as the highest veneration, honor, esteem to the Buddha, but only by practicing the teachings of the Buddha. It is the way as honoring, the way of venerating as the highest veneration to the Buddha by practicing the teachings of the Buddha. So this is what is important. Of course, venerating the Buddha by giving flowers, by giving, chanting and so on, that is a good thing. And that should be done. But that is not the highest veneration. That is not the highest honor. The highest veneration to the Buddha is by practicing the teaching of the Buddha. And and even before the Buddha was passing away, because from the very beginning, when the Ascended Gautama attained the full enlightenment, until he passed away, what he did to the people, even to the deities, are just teaching. Teaching for the sake of benefits of the many beings. So even before he passed away, he still gave the advice to us, to all of us. And he advised something which is very important to us. He said, Vaya Dhamma Sankara Appamadena Sampadeta. That via Dhamma Sankara, he reminds us about via Dhamma Sankara, that all the conditioned things have the characteristic, have the cessation as its characteristic. That means that all the conditioned things will disappear. That all the conditioned things are subject to change. All the conditioned things will not be able to always be with us, but will change, will disappear, will cease from us. So this is actually the nature, that the Buddha reminds us about the nature of all phenomena. For example, and the Buddha said about this because that when we are living as a human beings and even as a creatures, we have to experience the so-called Attaluka Dhamma, the 8 worldly conditions, that we as the human beings, because of the changing nature of the phenomena, the changing nature of us, so we have to experience, we have to face the 8 conditions. First, we have to face what we call as the gain, but also we have to face what we call as the loss. Gain and loss, we have to face. And again, we have to face, we have to experience, sometimes we get a good status. We get the fame, but sometimes we get kind of the disgrace in our life. And also we have to face, we have to experience, when we are living as the human beings, because of this nature of impermanence, this nature of the change, so we have to face from others the praise. But sometimes, in many times, we also have to experience, we have to face the so-called criticism from others, the dispraise from others. And sometimes we also have to face not only just the pleasure, but also we have to experience the pain. So these 8 conditions will be always with us. Whether you are the wise people or the foolish people, whether you are the rich people or the poor people, whether you are educated people or uneducated people, these 8 conditions will always be with us, be with you and all of us. And that is the nature. That is because of the changing nature of the phenomena. So not all the time in our life we will have the gain. Not all the time in our life we will get the praise. We will get a kind of good status. Not all the time in our life we will get the so-called pleasure. But also we have to face the loss. We sometimes get the disgrace. Sometimes we get the criticism. People come to us not to talk about the nice word, but sometimes the harsh word. People come to us not to talk out of compassion, out of loving kindness, but they talk something which is unpleasant to our ears. And that happened. Not only just to us, even, that the Buddha himself, as a very perfect person, is a great person, considered to be very perfect in understanding, very perfect in behavior, in conduct. Bijaksana Sampano, even he himself also has to face a criticism from others. So like one of us, who actually still have a lot of mistakes, we still have a lot of defects. So that can happen. Not only just the praise, but even the dispraise also come to us. And of course, not only just we have to experience a kind of pleasure in our life, but the pain, the accident perhaps can come to our life. So this is because of the changing nature of the phenomena. So the Buddha in this first line, Vaya Dhamma Sangara, reminding us about this nature, that everything in this world is subject to change. Everything in this world is impermanence. So therefore, in the second line, the Buddha said, Apamadena sampadeta. That means that because of life is changing, because of everything is impermanent, so you should strive with diligence. You should strive with vigilance. Apamada. Apamada means non-negligence, vigilant, mindful. You have to strive hard with mindfulness, with vigilance, with diligence. Why? Because if not, in the midst of the changing nature, in the loss and gain, in the pleasure and pain, in the praise and criticism, in the good status and disgrace, if we don't have this mindfulness, if we don't have this vigilance mind, we will get suffered. So that's why the Buddha said that these 8 conditions, as the manifestation of impermanency, happen to anyone, whether you are full or wise, educated or not, happen to anyone. But the difference is that those who know the Dhamma, who know the teaching, those who practice in accordance to the Buddha's teaching, the mind will become. Among these fluctuations of life, among this loss and gain, among this criticism and praise, the pain and pleasure, those who are instructed people, disciplined people, who are practicing the teachings of the Buddha, the mind will become. Even getting the gain, those people don't have any kind of attachment, because they know this also impermanence, so don't attach. Even though such a people get kind of the praise, but those people don't attach, don't cling, because they know this also impermanence. So the mind is calm, the mind is equanimous. And also, even though that person or such people have to face a kind of the disgrace, a kind of the bad name or criticism or the pain or the accident, and those people also don't get irritated, don't hate those conditions, because they know that these also impermanence. So the mind is calm, the mind is equanimous. So it is quite different if people don't understand the teaching, if people don't follow the teachings of the Buddha, don't practice the teaching, not living in accordance to the Dhamma. So when something good happen, they will just get attached. They will just cling it very hard and doesn't want to let it go. But when they have to experience something bad, unpleasant condition, and then such people will just get resistance. Hate rises, disliking rises, and suffering rises. And that is how that happened, and the difference between the good and bad, wise and not wise, is how to respond. And so therefore, what we have to do in this life, after understanding the teachings of the Buddha, the first we have to understand, we have to accept that everything is impermanence. Make it established, make it strong within our mind that everything is impermanence. Whatever we have, including what we consider as valuable, what we consider as lovely, what we consider as ours, we have to understand that we have to accept that this is impermanence. So that when we have to separate it from them, we don't get suffered. So this is what we have to do. We have to accept this impermanency. And the second one is that we also have to practice within our minds. We have to cultivate our mind. We understand that the reason why we get suffered is because of our craving. Because we crave to get what is considered to be pleasant, and we crave to avoid what is unpleasant. So our mind is being shaken by liking, disliking, so that we get suffering. So we have to practice in our mind through, of course, meditation, through the development of mind, to little by little, slowly, step by step, eliminate this craving. So how to practice? You know that the Buddha has given the way. We have to practice the giving, the dana. So the dana is also the way how to little by little eliminate and eradicate this craving. Because we as the human beings has the habit of accumulating, but not to let it go. The habit just to accumulate, to attach, to cling what is considered to be ours, what is considered to be valuable, but not to let it go. So when you are practicing the giving, you spend some of your property perhaps, or your money, to share to others, to give to others. So that is also the practice how to let the craving go, how to let the attachment go. So this is also the good practice. So the second one is that we have to practice how to let the craving goes, how to eliminate the craving by the giving, and of course by the practicing morality. And again, you have to practice the meditation, the cultivations of mind, the citta bhavana. So this is the good practice that we have to do, because this is the only way how to root out this craving. So not only just craving just some little, but by means of meditation, we can root out all the craving. So this is what we have to do. So these two, if you can do, you accept that everything is impermanence, and also you try your best to practice in such a way to eradicate this craving by practicing the dana, the giving, practicing the morality, practicing meditation. All these are the way how to get rid of the suffering among this impermanency. When you are practicing that, actually also you practice the noble eightfold path, the way leading to the cessation of suffering. So this is what we have to do, and this is the meaning why we celebrating this Vesak day, the meaning why we remembering the events related to the Buddha in this Vesak day. So thank you very much for everything, especially to Bhante, Devananda, who invited me to come here. So this is a really honor to me to be a part of this ceremony, to be part of this gathering. So I hope all of you get happiness and growth in the Dhamma, in the teaching of the Buddha, and Santacitta bhavantu sukhitaha. May all beings be happy.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you very much, Bhante Santacitta.